Welcome back to Financial Health, everyone, brought to you by John G. Ullman and Associates, President and COO Jason Nickerson, joining us again. And Jason, this week, this is something that you're coming right out and saying, this is one of my least favorite topics to talk about. And we're actually going to be talking about it for the next couple of weeks. It is estate planning. So before we dive into that, can you tell us why this is one of your least favorite things to talk about?
Yeah, very simply, it's depressing to talk death and dying, right? But it needs to be done, right? I like to talk with clients about saving their money and optimizing taxes and achieving goals and even spending that hard-earned, saved, invested money over time. But unfortunately, death is one of those things we can't avoid. It's one of those certainties in life. So we just need to deal with it head on.
All right. And I think a lot of people think about, estate planning is something that I don't really need to be thinking about until I'm closer to the end of my life. I'll go see an attorney. But you work with your clients on this topic, and you believe that even younger adults, like I'm in my 40s, but people my age and maybe even younger do need to start thinking about an estate plan.
That's correct. Now, this topic is way, way too large to cover in one episode. So we're going to string this out over a couple of episodes. And we're just going to kind of give everyone a good taste for estate planning as we move through these discussion topics. So key things to note as we move ahead, right? So number one, need to work with qualified professionals, including an attorney. If you do have an advisor, but not an attorney, you're going to need one. So your advisor may have someone in their network they can recommend. And if you do have both an attorney and advisor, it might be a good idea to connect them together, right? This may putting the whole team together may be an efficient way to work through the process with a better end result. Now, what I'm going to say in terms of letting things resonate with everyone, right? I'll tell the story through my personal lens. So share a little bit of where my estate planning journey has gone and where it's going, right? So when people first think of estate planning, they usually have that question, do I need a will or a trust or both? And that has a lot of underlying structural decisions and questions to ask and make, right? So they're specific to each individual and the makeup of their estate, and that's where a good attorney is going to be able to advise you. Now, where we started our estate planning journey is a little bit different than that, right? Is when we first had children. And it was likely already too late that we were thinking about having an estate plan. But at this time, we didn't have much in assets, and we, thought our first thought was, who's going to take care of our kids if something happened to both of us unexpectedly early, right? So here's everyone's first clue as to why young adults, young families need an estate plan. It is not just about leaving your assets to someone. It is about establishing guardians for your dependents. And to think about, like back then, our assets were mostly contained in 401ks and IRAs, so they already had beneficiaries assigned to them. And that's another clue for our viewers, is that your estate planning journey isn't just about the legal documents, it's about everything that impacts your overall estate. And you're going to hear me make a point time and time again about that estate planning is not just wills and trusts. It's a comprehensive plan we have to put together that touches many areas of our lives. So our next experience with estate planning is when our kids became adults. And we didn't have the power to make decisions for them anymore. And even though they didn't have much of an estate yet, we need to think about that we wouldn't be able to help them if something were to happen to them. So another clue as to when and who might need an estate plan. Now on to our current experience with our estate plan. We've committed to updating our estate plan this year because we have our parents in key positions within our estate plan. And while they're in decent health, we need to start considering our children or other younger adults than our parents as they age, and they may not be able to or be around to handle certain parts of our estate plan when we're gone. So that's another clue for our viewers as to, your estate planning needs.
All right. So just kind of taking in all of the things that you just covered here, that this is, a very large, impactful part of people's overall plan. Like you just said, have qualified people working alongside you. This is not something that's just kind of a one and done thing. It's something that you need to revisit over time as your circumstances in life evolve.
That's correct, Renata. You nailed it and summarized it perfectly.
Okay, well, we are going to continue this conversation next week, Jason. So we'll see you back here on Monday for the next edition of Financial Health.
All right, we'll see you next week.